Greetings.
Hello.
Greetings.
My greetings.
Well met.
I greet you.
Greetings, traveler. Greetings, friend.
The pleasure is mine.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 174 of Concede, a Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. Joining you from the Maelstrom, Louisiana, it's me, Appa. From Gadgetstan, New York, it's Ridiculous Hat.
It me.
And returning from Undercity, Pennsylvania, it's Edelweiss. Welcome back.
Hey everyone, happy to be here.
So before we get into life and ladder, we just want to give a big thank you to Stefan C, because he is our newest patron this week. And for those of you who don't know, Concede is supported in large part by you, the listener. If you'd like to find out how you can support us and receive rewards in return, head to patreon.com/CoinConcede. So, how's life? How's ladder going, Hat?
So I looked at my deck tracker today because I tried to remember if I played post-nerf standard, and I haven't because I am solely a wild person this month. Because someone linked me a deck with Tinker Sharpsword Oil in it, and I am a weak man who likes fireballing people, but with a dagger.
You were in there. You were sold. That's all you had to say.
Have you ever prepped that card? Have you ever prepped a Tinker Sharpsword Oil? That's not okay. That's not a thing that people should let you do to them.
I haven't done it recently. The most recent time I did it was whenever prepping oil onto a Violet teacher was common.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Well, prepping it onto South Sea deckhands is very nice, and also prepping a Myra's Unstable Element when you have one or less cards in hand, and then prepping and doing Tinker Sharpsword Oil again, and then attacking with a Kingsbane that has one charge left in it, then shuffling back into your now empty deck. For those that are audio listeners, that was a chef's kiss that you heard. It was very good.
Yeah, that's the point where the other person stops having fun, and you get to have all the fun.
No, they have fun in their next game because they stopped that one.
Yeah, whenever Prep Myras happens and they have the Kingsbane, it's the worst. And then when they prep Myras when they don't have Kingsbane and don't burn it, that's also the worst. Basically, moral of the story, Kingsbane's the worst, but I'm glad you're enjoying Wild.
This has been an episode of Tier 5.
Kingsbane sucks to play against. Fun to play with. Almost always bad to play against. How about you, Edelweiss? How's ladder been going?
I've definitely been playing against a lot of that Kingsbane stuff in Wild, but I've been messing around with Odd Mage, which the way I build it anyway is sort of reminds me of the old Tempo Mage days, because I've got Flame Waker, Azure Drake. I'm actually not running Arcane Intellect just because it has so many minion-based card draws. I think you've got 2 Black Cats, 2 Azure Drakes, and then 2 of that 3/4 that whenever you kill something with your hero power draws a card.
You know what else you're not running? Mana Wyrm. That one's for you, Botticus.
Mana Wyrm did nothing wrong.
Yes. Yeah, no Mana Wyrm. I actually like Mana Wyrm, so I'm sad about that, but it's still fine without it. Yeah, it just it takes and holds onto board really, really well, so it's good against the other aggressive decks. And then you've got Jan'alai into Ragnaros later on, and it just, I don't know, it feels really strong. I can't figure out whether I want Antonitis in my version or not, because I have the Clockwork Gnomes as 1-drops. It sort of is meta dependent what kind of things you want on the top end there.
I just got such a serious flashback to old like initial tempo mage after GVG came out, when you just played Clockwork Gnome as a 2/1 because you had Flame Wakers. Sometimes you had Antonius. Oh man,
And you
the
had
nostalgia's hit me
Cogmasters.
so
You could
hard.
play Flame Imp as long as you also played a 1-mana 2/1. Yeah, and
Well,
see,
you also played like Snow Chugger in that version too.
that card was
Goblin.
so gross when people were Fiery War Axing, and you were just like, how about you never attack ever again? And they were like, next game. And see, Edelweiss, you had me going, because I see so many of these odd mage lists that are playing Clockwork Automaton, and I'm like, we're really putting a 5-mana 4/4 in our deck? That's what we're doing? But then you said Clockwork, and I was like, oh, and then you said Gnome, and I was like, ooh, that's not a 5-mana 4/4. That's an aggro boy. Well,
Yeah, that's
Gnome.
a 2/1 mech thing that deals 2 damage later on. And also gives you some value from the spare part. Man, I remember when you used to run Toshly. Oh my god. Oh man, it's all coming back to me.
I didn't even think of Toshly. I forgot about him.
Yeah, well, don't put him in your odd mage deck.
Yeah, he's 6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
think he's 6, right?
that'd be a no-go.
That would be the 5/7 you would not put in your deck. Antonitis, I can see it. A little slow, but like, I can see it. I don't know. Odd Mage is interesting because they had to nerf so much to make it good, but now it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, we'll get into this later in Decksplanations, but it feels like a lot of what was kind of holding it back was Odd Rogue being able to dominate the early board, and then also just Spellstone putting so much pressure on the format. Now that those are gone, and they kind of help dominate the early board, both of those, depending on what deck you're playing against, it seems like a lot of other decks have kind of had a lot more room to breathe.
Yeah, also because they don't have to play against Mana Wyrm, so there's a lot of deck breathing. I'm sad. I understand that it was holding down.
You know, it's not breathing. Mana Wyrm for you, Botticus.
I understand that it was kind of a compressing force on the format, that it just kind of gatekept a lot of slower decks, but at the same time, after that card went away, we started getting double OTK Paladin and Mechathune Warlock.
Look, I am on board with playing with Mana Wyrm as much as the next person. You remember I turned 5 somebody with no minions in my hand with Tempo Mage.
I remember. That was at the tournament that Edelweiss was...
tournament that I won.
Yeah.
So I like me some Mana Wyrm, but not sad that it's gone. I realize it's evil.
It's just, Mage is in such a bad spot now that we can't even play Alaneth, and that says a lot about the state of Mage, that Alaneth is not enough to make a deck happen.
Yeah, there's like half of a reason to play a big spell mage, and then like half of a reason to play new tempo mage or murloc mage, but like neither of those archetypes are like that great.
No.
What is great though is odd mage, 'cause that's like a surprising new deck that has a really good win rate in standard. But
I
we're not
play
gonna
I
get
play the new Mana Wyrm, which is Secret.
Secret Keeper, eh?
It's still it's really good, and it has the Undertaker problem of gaining toughness as well.
Yeah, whenever that gets snowballing, it gets pretty gross. But we'll save a lot of that for Decksplanations.
I do think that comparing Secret Keeper to Undertaker is a little misleading, because one of them was a 1-mana 4/5, and one of them is Secret Keeper. But I do see that it kind of gets rolling quickly if you have the right draw, but Undertaker is just so gross.
Sorry, I had to let my pugs out. Little D was screaming at the door. She was just scratching at the door and just yelling. All right, so yeah, we'll save a little bit more of like deck discussion and stuff for Decksplanations. For me, for ladder, I'm ranked 3 in wild right now. I hit that on the day before Flame Tongue's nerf because I streamed as a send off to my homie, and they killed him. They killed him dead. So everybody pour one out for Flame Tongue Totem, please. And I'm rank 5.
Wait,
in
why are we
standard
being
for-
nice to Flame Tongue Totem when we just crap all over Mana Wyrm? Why is that
Because
what we're
one of-
doing?
Because one of these requires other things on the board and costs double.
But it's Mana Wyrm asks nothing of you. Flame Tongue Totem takes, Mana Wyrm gives damage to the face. It is so generous. You can keep going. You can keep going. It's fine.
Yeah, I hit rank 5 in standard with Odd Hunter. I started the month at rank 6 because I didn't play a lot of standard last month because I was prepping for, not even prepping, I was just grinding ladder in wild. So I reset at rank 6 and I tried playing a few different decks and I lost a bunch. I got down to rank 7 2 stars. And then I said, you know what? Everybody's playing nonsense. What's the most anti-nonsense deck? Most fun police deck I could play? And then I put Baku in a hunter deck and tapped the hero power button a lot, and people died. So I'm at rank 5, 2 or 3 stars right now. And yeah, I'll be probably plucking away a little bit more in wild this week because the wild playoffs, the wild open playoffs are this weekend or next weekend. And then after that, I'll probably play standard for the rest of the month. So, yeah, that's how stuff's going with me. Why don't we just get into the news?
And our friend Edelweiss is going to do the news this week. We've got quite a few things. Edelweiss, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem.
Kind of figuring everything out here. So, yeah, we've got a big increase in communication in the news. From Team 5, we had, I think, probably the biggest thing most recently was Ixar on Value Town. He was talking about some of these nerfs, and I don't know. Did either of you get the chance to listen to that recent enough?
Yeah, Hat actually sent it to me right before I left for class this morning. So I went to class and then came back and listened to that, and it was pretty good. It was very much in line with how I thought things have been going for Team 5, and it is very much not that the sky is falling. It's more that they're taking things a step at a time. And Ixar talked a lot about how they design cards, what they feel is design restrictive. I think it was referring specifically to prep in the video, that it is design restricting, but that's going to be the case whenever you have a cool, powerful effect. Then he goes on to talk about Baku and Gan, which he says is similar, but they're kind of problems that they're looking at for many of the same reasons we've been talking about. And Barnes as well. And one thing he said about Barnes was kind of interesting to me, and I wrote it down here. He said, the win rates on like Big Priest aren't like oppressive or anything, and people enjoy playing it. So they're always wary of touching things that don't have great win rates and that people enjoy playing. But he also did recognize the fact that like turn 4 Barnes is super powerful, and basically the gist of that whole segment was Barnes, Gen, and Baku are all at the top of the list for things that they're like heavily watching for. And he basically said in a PR way that they're trying to figure out ways to nerf Gen and Baku without saying that they're going to nerf him. He basically said, we're hoping to get these to a place that we want them by like time rotation happens, which means like they're really brainstorming how to fix these because they're issues. Yeah, and then I mean he talks about a bunch of other stuff, but those were like the big takeaways from that, I think.
On the interview,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Edelweiss.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say it sort of really stood out to me how much you can tell that they really just don't know how to nerf Gen or Baku. Like I feel like they would have if they knew how. There was just a complete sort of swing and a miss in terms of how meta-defining these cards are. To the point he said that they knew that it was going to create some samey gameplay, and they even wanted that consistency. But I think they just didn't realize that it would become so prevalent in such a huge number of decks, and now they just don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, I think he said specifically that whenever they were designing it, that he thought Odd Paladin and Odd Warrior would both be really strong. And then he was saying, like, now we just have like 7 Gen and Baku decks, and there's like very little reason to not play those like within the class. So that's kind of an issue.
Yeah, that's something that's kind of been a recurring theme because there's been kind of a Blizzard press junket going around. Peter Whalen was on the Angry Chicken as well, and they discussed that Gen and Baku are hard to nerf. The way they function while keeping and Peter Whalen said, we don't say soul of the card anymore, but the concept that refers to is reasonable in that the way you feel about how a card functions is an idea that players associate with the card. If you made Equality 3 mana, make all minions 3/3s, then that is technically an equal effect, but it doesn't feel like the card Equality that we know. It feels like a new card. And that the soul of the card, the thing, which they don't say because of the War Song Commander meme, but the idea behind a card having an identity itself means that how do you keep Gen and Baku relevant in the same way, but also have them be worse? Changing the stats on the cards themselves don't actually matter unless you make the mana cost break the ability, which obviously they aren't going to do. So I don't know if there's a solution there. I will say that it was refreshing to hear so many Blizzard voices in so many public places this week. And Ixar's interview in particular in Value Town was excellent. It was really great and provided a lot of reassurance about the future of Hearthstone. In particular, the part that stood out to me, besides the fact that Big Priest is bad, but a lot of people still play it, but also Barnes tilts people, besides that Ixar said the long-term goal of Team 5 is to make sure that playing games of Hearthstone works you towards some kind of goal, some kind of progression, and that they have a long-term target, not shorter term. They don't know what they're going to do yet, but they're going to do something that every game of Hearthstone you play feels like it's getting you towards something. The reward system in the game is currently kind of miscalibrated, and they're working on arena rewards and end-of-season rewards, but also something longer term where each game of Hearthstone makes you feel like you're making meaningful progress towards something, and that was music to my ears, and that's the sort of thing that makes me feel hopeful about the future of Hearthstone. I do think there are some things that haven't really been addressed that I know the very smart people on Team 5, I hope, are working towards figuring out how do we make games less samey with cards like Baku and Gen. How do we deal with what kind of meaningful progression actually looks like? The esports thing obviously has a much larger picture that they aren't going to talk about. Their card designers, it's not their department. And there's just a lot going on in Hearthstone that we don't have answers to. But at least we know the people inside Team 5 are asking similar questions and working towards things that will solve some of the issues the game might be facing right now. So it was reassuring to hear. It wasn't perfect, but I think it was a really, really nice PR effort from Blizzard that definitely was reassuring given what we've seen in the past few months.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good sign that after these nerfs, they hinted for the Angry Chicken. They said, "Hey, for your episode 300, you should have Peter Whalen on." And then now Value Town having Ixar on. I think they're trying to show that with this new Hearthstone year, they plan to be communicating more, doing more of these updates, and that altogether is a very different team than back when Broad was on, right? And there are even a couple of smaller things. We've got these interviews here with Peter Whalen with IGN, where he talks about designing Zul'jin and I think it was Jan'alai. And you can see some of the iterations that they've done on these cards. And Ixar talked about this a bit as well, and I think this is a nice direction for hero cards, that they're with Zul'jin having this big battle cry effect, and then his hero power is just something we've seen with the Steam Weedle Sniper kind of effect. They talked about how they wouldn't design these infinite value kind of heroes anymore, and I think ultimately that'll be much healthier for the game going forward.
Yeah, they talked about that actually in particular. I think both designers, about how maybe cards like Hagatha and Rexar are just not the ideal that they're working towards anymore, where you play one card and you get a ton of cards out of it. And I think that's a wonderful thing that they're aware of what needs to happen. It was also interesting to hear Ixar talk about the class identity of Shaman. And he's like, well, what does Shaman do? Right? What is Shaman really good at? What is Shaman really bad at? Well, you've got wide board removal with Lightning Storm and Volcano. You've got single target removal with Hex. You've got a lot of different minions. You got Bloodlust. It's what does Shaman do? They're kind of a jack of all trades, even in WoW. They kind of do a little bit of everything. A little bit of magic, a little bit of fighting, a little bit of whatever you want to call it. I don't think they've got that figured out yet. And it's interesting, they've had Shaman in the game for 5 years, and they still don't know what does Shaman do. Appa doesn't have any feelings about that.
Shaman does whatever the newest set lets it do.
Shaman also allows itself to have less mana the next turn.
Yeah. Sometimes it buffs up a 1/3, but most of the time it doesn't.
No, sometimes it makes 2 1/1s with Rush. Thunderhead. Thunderhead's good. I like that guy.
I'm probably going to play that against you later tonight.
Oh yeah, we're playing Strike after the show.
Yeah. Got Thunderhead Even Shaman coming in.
Yeah, I have
We
no idea what
rumbling.
decks I have. I should probably look. But yeah, I really enjoyed the press junket here, and these articles are really cool, the old designs of cards they have, though I'm glad they did not print Zul'jin as the Berserker, where when you take damage, your hero power increases by that much damage. Like, I'm glad they didn't ever do that.
Yeah, that just would have been super busted.
I'm sure somebody probably presented that at a meeting, and then that just like went in the concept file, and everyone was like, "What are you doing? Stop!"
It's
That's
okay.
insane.
So in the IGN interview, Peter Whalen does initial design where he makes the cards, and then Ixar does the balance testing. And in the interview with IGN, Peter Whalen is talking about this idea, and he says, "Dean is looking at me right now. I don't think he ever saw that." So this idea was so crazy, it never made it to balance testing, because initial design was like, maybe not that. Maybe we don't do that. So
yeah, I haven't seen the IGN interview. I need to read that.
It's
one.
a massive
That one sounds
two-parter.
like
It's rad.
Yeah, that one sounds good. Peter Whalen is always nice to hear from.
The second part was very fun because you can see some of those crazier ideas again with Janelai, and how originally it was going to be spell damage +3. This counts towards your hero power, so that would give you at 6 mana.
That's not
that would
okay.
give you a 5 damage here or 4 damage hero power. Yeah,
Well, you can't do that.
4 damage hero power.
You can't do that.
And then another one was I think both of them were 6 mana 4/4 or something like that. And this second design was that, like, revive every minion that you've killed with your hero power this game.
How is it that the low power version of this card literally makes a Ragnaros?
Yeah, that's our final design, is just make a Ragnaros, but previous iteration.
That's the toned down version. Let's not go crazy here,
With
folks.
Frostmourne
Let's
hero
just
power.
make a Ragnaros on turn 7. I'm glad they landed where they
with
did.
a 4/4. It brings a 4/4 with it.
Yeah. But, my deck building challenges.
Anyway, so those articles are super fun if you get the chance to check them out. They're definitely worth a read, and all of these contacts with Peter Whalen and Ixar are just great insights into the way Team 5 does things. Something that they've had totally closed until recently, really. I think it's the last year they've really upped their communication.
Yeah, I mean, Ixar was the one that when they were talking about the first round of nerfs before In the Works, I think, where they were actually listing out the cards they were looking at. I vaguely remember that. It's definitely been something they've stepped up in a year because I think they probably realized that the loss of Broad meant that they'd have to communicate more to make up for the lack of raps and also really good level charismatic communication. Because Broad could say more by saying less. So they had to kind of catch up to the
All he had to
personality.
do was show up in a flannel and laugh a couple times, and everybody was like, Broad, yes. Tell me more.
Yeah. But I agree, they've definitely stepped it up in the past year, and I think it's been a good thing.
Yeah, I think Ixar's been, a good communicator for a while. But I think Peter Whalen's really coming into his own, which is nice. I feel like every interview or like developer update or whatever I see him in, he's always getting better at basically being in the public light, which is cool to see.
Can either of you think of a developer who you haven't heard from in a while?
I don't
Chucky?
remember who's
Well,
still
no,
there.
we haven't heard.
Also,
Well, they talked about
also
him
Chucky.
on Value Town, and they said we'd love to get Chalky in front of the camera, but blah blah blah, media training, blah blah blah, and I get it. Media training, you have to go through it, and Chalky in particular probably needs like some extra because I love that guy, but he was not the most. How do I say?
He was not Zixo, but he was carefree.
And carefree isn't even the way I'd put it. He was like dry to the point of satire. But no, the developer we haven't heard from in a while. Well, we've heard from a good version of this developer. We haven't heard from Mike Dene in a while.
I bet you he had to go through some media training after that one.
Yeah. That's been...
Yeah, that was an unfortunate series of events for him.
I mean, unfortunate implies there was some luck and something bad happened, like someone top decked the Barnes. That's not what happened here. It was a misplay. It was not a bad top deck. It was a misplay.
Sure, yes.
But yes.
It was poorly played. But yeah, wouldn't be surprised if they're like, maybe you should just not for a bit.
Take a breather. Yeah. Well, probably for the best for now. What else we got?
So, they announced it previously, and you've been able to get the bundle for a while now. But the Lunar New Year is officially started. We've got new quests similar to the Taverns of Time event, where we get gold and arcane dust. There are new emotes, and yeah, if you haven't gotten it, that Lunar Bundle is $20 for 10 packs from each year of the Raven set, or whatever your local currency is. I know I accidentally set to English UK, and it was 20 euros. But that'll be running until February 14th. Going with that event, there's also the Season of Rastakhan. We've got 3 special tavern brawls that are going to be going all the way through March 2nd. And it looks like if you choose a champion each week, and they'll have different decks, and each one of these, you'll get a quest. And if you play 3 of the brawls, you'll get a rumble pack. So a little extra packs for Tavern Brawl there. Makes up for this week where I refuse to play Tavern Brawl because it is strictly RNG.
They've done this once before. The Servant of Yogg-Saron tryouts, where every single minion is a Servant of Yogg-Saron and just casts a random spell with random targets every time you play it. Like, I don't need the pack. I don't want the pack. There is positive value from not playing it.
The only reason I played this was because we were at our favorite Mexican restaurant, and we were eating chips and queso, waiting for our food to get there. And I basically didn't pay attention and just kind of pressed minions, and I won the game. And we've talked about this quite a bit before, but there's a good way to do our RNG, and then there's this. I can see how this would be fun for some people, though. but it's really not for me. Like, this just feels like too much, just randomness. Feels like you have like very little agency over what's going on, and yeah, it's nonsense. I got the pack though, but mostly because I was eating queso at the time.
This is one of those times where I have to like check in and be like, okay, does my brother enjoy this? Who's newer to Hearthstone? Like, if so, then all right, fine, new player brawl. But yeah, I mean, I heard stories of someone got Myras on their first thing they played, and then Cataclysm on the second one. Just auto lose the game. Draw your whole deck, you're in fatigue, then discard your hand.
That's actually no. Wait, we're gonna do this one. Yeah, but I'll be honest. What's more disappointing than that is that your segue was about this tavern brawl and not about queso. That was more disappointing to me. But
I'm sorry, queso is just a normal thing in my life being Latina. That's just the way it is.
queso knows no cultural boundaries. Who doesn't like molten cheese to dip things in?
My
would
wife,
say
because she's lactose intolerant.
I was gonna say
Hmm.
lactose intolerant people, but even then, you like it in the moment, regret it later.
Yeah. Like we're probably not going to do lactose concede, but I will say that that just because you shouldn't have it doesn't mean you don't like it. That's a very important line to draw.
I just like to live my life by the motto of the raccoon. That's live fast, eat trash. I got him.
That's
only
gonna
works
that's gonna be on my
so long.
gravestone. That's gonna be like, I want someone to say that in my eulogy.
Whenever I think, should I eat this? I think live fast, eat trash, and then I channel my inner trash panda, and then I go at it.
And you're like, you have little grabby hands like a raccoon. Anyways, we've digressed enough. Edelweiss, why don't you bring us back on the rails with an approved segue that's not about queso? I'll let it slide this time.
Okay, well, we've got the Curse of Hakkar going around. So this new card back was only given to a few players, and then it is spread by playing against someone who has it. So end of the game, you'll get a notification that says, you've been cursed by Hakkar. For those of you who don't know, this was a thing that happened in World of Warcraft. There was a raid boss, I think, or something that had a status effect relating to the Bloods. And the status effect remained after the fight, and it just slowly spread all across World of Warcraft. At least I'm pretty sure that's the way it went down. Hat probably knows more about this.
I know that Blister Guy talked about this on his Walk to Work, and you should go check out his episode on it because he can explain it in more detail. He was there. But yes, the short version is a hunter's pet got infected with a debuff from a boss called Corrupted Blood that dealt damage over time, and there was a bug where it didn't fall off. And then the hunter brought his pet back to town, and it started spreading, and actually infected all of World of Warcraft with a disease that lower-level characters died immediately upon contracting it. And it was such a good resemblance of actual disease that the CDC did a study on the disease in World of Warcraft. So go check it out on Walk to Work. Blister Guy does a deeper dive based on personal experience into the Corrupted Blood incident. There's another name for it that we're not going to use at the time because it was created in a less politically correct time by a different audience. But yeah, the Corrupted Blood incident is definitely worth checking out. And this card back is awesome. It's so good.
Yeah, it's a fun card back. So if you have a friend who has it, easy way to get it, just challenge them. You'll get it after the match. That's how I got it. There's also a Kul Tiras card back. But we don't know how that one will be distributed yet. A couple of nerfs and bug fixes we've got on mobile to reduce the initial size of the Hearthstone mobile app. Some sound files are now an optional download. I know that some people have been complaining about the size of downloads for mobile. So, maybe opt out of those sound files. It'll be a little easier. Hand and mana are now also moved aside when choose one cards are displayed. I guess so that they can, take up more screen space, since choose ones, take up a lot of real estate on the screen. In other news, we have the live legend leaderboard just in time for it not to matter. Sort of an odd decision on their part to do this now when we are not getting points from Legend Ladder, but they have live legend leaderboards for top 200 standard and wild for all 3 regions. Yeah, if you want to go check out, who you need to beat for rank 1 legend, now you can do that. There's also
So-
an official and
Deck Tech
Oh,
actually had a theory on this, that the reason that they didn't have this out when ladder mattered is because people would use this to abuse it and win trade and get themselves into positions where they would get points and other people wouldn't. And I think that argument is really plausible. That I'm sure they had this infrastructure before, but there were already issues of people making use of any information they'd gleaned about where people were in the ladder. And I wouldn't be surprised if the decision-making process there was, let's not keep this information public while people are literally making money off of it. And then let's make it public when it becomes cool, but not, financially impactful.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely
that-
can see how that would be the case.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I think I've heard a lot of people bring up the fact that it doesn't really matter anymore for points, and that's true. But for some reason, and this is true of like pretty much all games that I play at like a reasonably high level, is even if the leaderboard doesn't matter, I still kind of want to get my name on it, just to be like, hey, cool, I'm right there. Look at that. I'm up here. I'm at this point. So part of it is actually making me want to play ladder again and like actually try and grind in legend a little bit. Like not a ton, but I mean, if I'm enjoying the deck I'm playing and I'm enjoying the meta a decent amount, then I'll probably just grind legend just to try and get on the leaderboard, just because that's the kind of player I am. And I'm sure there are other people like that too. I mean, think about people who like play seasonal Diablo. Like that doesn't do anything, but you play that to just get on the leaderboard and be like, hey, look where I am. Because I don't know, there's just players like that who enjoy doing that, and I guess I'm one of them for card games. I'm a sucker for self validation.
Yeah, and in some ways, it may even be sort of twofold strategically put into place now. What Hat was talking about, and then also, well, now that there's no points, here is, a different thing to strive for with this, accessible leaderboard. Because they've always had a leaderboard for Arena, and there was no monetary value of finishing high in Arena before, but people would still try for the leaderboard. So now we have a leaderboard for regular ranked ladder, and I think that's a cool thing. Also lets you know, like, okay, who should I be looking to for deck lists and things based on where they are on the ladder. And then for that leaderboard, there's a last updated date on the dashboard, so that's how you'll know, when it last checked who was where, because it's not, I guess, 100% to the moment live.
Yeah, I think the last quote I heard from somebody was that they try and update it if the technology allows, like every 5 minutes or so, around there. So they try and keep it frequently updated, but it's not going to be like right in the minute most of the time. So it's nice that they have a little date on there so you can.
Well, it's really nice because I think the technology is more advanced than we think. As of the time of this recording, it is February 8th, 2019, and the America's dashboard was last updated on February 9th, 2019. So I am glad that they have the stats from the future, because I didn't realize that technology existed quite yet. Because we're the furthest east time zone. It's as late as it is in the Americas right now, I think, and and it was last updated tomorrow. So props to you, Blizzard.
Maybe a few kinks to work out still.
It's fine. Listen, I'm just assuming that this is what's going to happen tomorrow.
So the next bit of news is, we talked about Appa qualifying last week, but now everyone has their official announcement. So top 100 players on Wild for each region have gotten their invitations. I know, Appa, you posted yours to Twitter, and several other people have as well. From Team Swagoi, we have Spiral and Lost Head that are going to be competing in this. Yeah. How did it feel to get that email, Appa?
Felt real good. It's like on par for me with winning a tournament, which is really weird because I've never gotten a finish, and it's something I've been working towards for 3+ years at this point. So it was nice, but I won't talk about it too much. I got to gush about it enough last episode, so I got the top 100, and now it's official. It's on the website, so that's really cool.
Yeah, I saw a couple of people, just posting in comments, "Hey, look, it's me," that kind of thing. So it's awesome for everyone to get that official announcement. I know there were some people that didn't know for sure because they were playing a game on the cusp of the deadline, and so they didn't know whether their last game counted or not and whether they made it. So this gives all those people confirmation. Next on the list, though, is something else to do with you, Appa. What's this video on Hall of Fame stuff?
Yeah, so this is one of the most recent videos I did for Tempo Storm. I did 2 that both came out within 24 hours of each other. The first one that's not on here was just like early days, like meta report. And we're gonna kind of get into what that video was about pretty much in Decksplanations. But the one that's posted here is the Hall of Fame wish list that I did, where I took the top 5 cards from Classic and Basic, or my top 5 cards that I think should rotate to the Hall of Fame. And I got together with Luker, and we both kind of narrowed down a list, and we both agreed on it. And the list is Mind Control Tech, Divine Favor, Preparation, Leroy Jenkins, and Malagos. And it's not a lot of the comments or sort of the negative feedback that we've gotten on the video so far is like, don't put anything in the Hall of Fame. Like, just move Classic, make a core set, all that kind of stuff. And I agree. But if things stay the same, these are the 5 cards that I would put on my wish list to have any or all of them move to the Hall of Fame and replaced with something else in Standard. Because they've all been problematic in their own right, and they all have issues, especially Divine Favor. You can get out of here. But yeah, so I did a video for that, so go check it out. But keep that in mind that we're not saying like move all 5 of these immediately, or not even saying that this would be the best solution to fix Standard going forward, because the best solution I think would be just rotating Classic and Basic. But if things stay the same, and there is going to be a Hall of Fame announcement, these are some of the cards that I would like for them to look at rotating.
And I see Hat has written his 5 choices for Hall of Fame in the show notes.
Yes.
Care to share that choice here?
Yes. Number 1 is Divine Favor. Number 2, also Divine Favor. Number 3 is Divine Favor. Number 4 is a little bit different. It's Divine Favor. And number 5 is Divine Favor. I listed this card 5 times because that's how many cards you draw against a control deck when you play Divine Favor. Hall of Fame's too good for it. I will say, I'm glad you said Mind Control Tech, because I don't think that card is overpowered. I think that card is dumb. I think it's a dumb card and just badly designed. Like, you can beat it, except like 25% or less of the time you probably can't. But also,
did you see the graphic that the editor put in on the video?
Yeah.
It was 3 target dummies and a Witchwood Grizzly, and it just yoinked the target or the Grizzly. It was like yoink.
Yeah, it's a dumb card, and I don't think it's overpowered. Just like Team 5 is better than that now, and they can move on. They can move on.
Yeah, it's not overpowered. It's just like a curve or deck filler in the formats that need it, that just need a generic answer to stuff. And then whenever it's in the format, it's like the best card in your deck most of the time, and it's just awful to play against. And even to play with, it's just bad all around.
Yeah, and they already removed it from Arena because of all the public outcry against it. So I would hope that they consider at least, removing it from Standard as well. It's just one of those cards that feels so horrible when it wins your opponent the game. And like, I don't know, when I steal something with MC Tech and it wins me the game, I don't feel like I accomplished anything, right? It was just like,
Oh
well,
no, I didn't actually make decisions and play Hearthstone. I played a card and it won the game for me. I played a 3-mana Mechathune. My opponent died. I played 3 mana, ended the game right now because I stole their biggest thing. Yeah,
and like, there's no good way to play around it. Like, either you play 3 minions, and against some things, you're never going to have enough pressure to kill them quickly enough then. At least, certainly when people were running double MC Tech against Odd Warrior, it's like, it's a lose-lose. Either I play enough minions to try and close out the game fast enough and get screwed by MC Tech, or I'm only playing 3 minions at a time. And that usually is just not enough pressure to get you there.
Yeah, Mind Control Tech, whenever it's in the format, basically makes every game a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Which is not really great to have in a 3-mana, 3/3 neutral card.
Yeah, for me, I don't know. I've been hearing people talk about Hall of Faming, something like Malagos, and I don't know how I feel on
The
Hall of
real reason
Faming.
that one's on the list, the real reason we have Malagos there is because top 4 didn't sound as catchy as top 5, and I had to reach in the bag for stuff to talk about Hall of Fame. Malagos, I don't really think he's a problem, but I mean, he's spooky and kind of restrictive, so he's on there as number 5, and that's the honest reason.
But I don't know, like, when has Malagos been the thing that was the reason there was a problem? Like, Malagos Druid, maybe it was all them Druid cards they made in the Year of the Mammoth.
If it wasn't Malagos, it was Togwaggle or Gonk or Hadronox or
Oh, so you mean it was the other 29 cards that all the Druid decks had, and then the one thing they played and then busted Twig after?
yes.
I mean, there's Malagos other things though, like Malagos Rogue, just because prep exists.
Yeah, and in the video I brought it back a little bit to when Pavel won Worlds with Malagos Druid, and that was a fairly strong deck. I mean, it's been around for a while, and like whenever it's in one of the best decks, it feels really bad to play against. But yeah, a lot of the times in most metas it's fair, but it's always kind of just like right below the surface whenever it has like enough enablers it does some really busted things. But I never really think it's the problem. It's just been a scapegoat in the past year, and I wanted to discuss it in the video. And I mean, the video was not so much about, hey, here are the top 5 things that should rotate, listen to me. It's more like, here's what Luker and I kind of agreed on, and let's start a discussion. So
Yeah, I think of the dragons, definitely Malagos and Alex are the first 2 that people would agree on getting Hall of Famed. But I think also when it comes to the dragons, given that they changed that welcome bundle to give you a random dragon instead of a random class legendary, I expect we're not going to see anything happening to them for, at least a year to come.
100%. And Alexstrasza has always seen way more play than Mali. I was thinking if there was any dragon that was going to get hoffed, it was Alexstrasza, just because it's not a must-include effect, but it's been around for a long time, and whenever the format is lower power level than what it is right now, it's always around. Because whenever you want to just kill your opponent quickly at the end of a game where you haven't tried to kill them at all, Alexstrasza is the answer. And so that's usually whenever a deck wants to pivot from I'm not dead to you are dead very quickly, Alexstrasza's involved. So I'm surprised that wasn't even in the discussion. But as we get later into bigger standards, people talk about Mali. And as we're in earlier standards, people talk about Alex, because Alex is the fairest way to dome someone for 15, and Mally is the unfairest way. And when you have a critical mass of unfair cards, you just Mally and then they're dead now. And when you don't, you just Alex and then they're dead slightly later. Yeah. Edelweiss. Is she dead?
Sorry, I started talking and then I realized that I hadn't clicked the button for it to show up.
Oh.
Yeah, the February 19th announcement is when they're going to potentially tell us Hall of Fame cards. I'm guessing that that's when they'll announce Year of the Raven. At the very least, it'll be announcing the new competitive season of things. So we'll just have to see. I think if it's not this next announcement, then it'll be the next one. But yeah, that's almost all the news. There's one final little thing that some people didn't notice. I didn't know what was going on until I was going through Twitter, and I keep hearing people talk about this Jaina nerf. I know Frodan put a picture of himself, and then Spartacus Fett said, "Well, here's that image with the Jaina nerf, and it's got a bunch of clothes covering up Frodan's lovely abs." Apparently, Blizzard snuck in a little extra in this patch. They gave Jaina a cami, basically. They covered up her cleavage so that instead of being an extremely ridiculous, I don't know if it's, I could never tell if it was like armor or fabric what Jaina's wearing. But anyway, they gave her an additional shirt beyond that. So it's, a little more family friendly, I guess. What do you guys think about this?
So I'm going to say that I've heard from different people, like my personal friends and then other people's friends who have tried getting into the game, and they see that and they're just like, that's not, what is this? This is not practical. This is just for horny teenagers. Why is this in here? And yeah, I'm going to say that I did not notice the nerf, quote unquote nerf, at all whenever I logged into the game. And I think that's the point, because it's not a big deal that they changed it at all. And it's like basically only a benefit to people who think it's dumb, because it was pretty dumb.
So, okay. I don't mean to minimize this, because I think it's great that they're like, hey, people that aren't sexualizing our characters want to play Hearthstone. And I told this to my fiance, and she was like, that's good, they should have done that a while ago. But in terms of how much joy did this addition of a camisole remove from the people that were already engaged with Jaina's current art? If nobody had said anything, how much would this have gotten noticed? I don't know. I don't think that this is the sort of thing that materially impacts anybody's game that was already currently playing and wanted Jaina to have cleavage. I don't think it's the sort of thing that, like, wait, they load up a game, they're getting some mages, like, what happened? I don't think that happened. So, yeah, Mad Arm is saying in the chat, I agree with him. The further away any game can get from Shadowverse, the better. The distance to Shadowverse needs to be as large as possible. If you don't know what Shadowverse is, please don't look it up at work. It is an anime cartoon art style that is hypersexualized. And the further away from that we can get from that, the better. I just want to play cards. I don't boobs, like, cool. I don't know how to say this. I'm like an equal opportunity boob fan, but it doesn't need to be in my card game. Doesn't need to be in the card game.
This needs to be on the soundboard now. Boobs, cool. But
it doesn't need to be in.
2019.
It doesn't need to be in my Hearthstone. Like,
Oh my god.
This is not the place for that, and I think it's a good adjustment. The important thing here is, what is with Frodan's abs? Good lord. The amount of muscle that guy gained in 6 weeks is
ripped.
crazy. Yeah. Like, Sottle's response
I
was,
saw that
yo,
post and
what
I
the
was
F? Like, it didn't make any sense.
Mine is testosterone OP.
Yeah. That is the thing that surprised me the most about this whole thing is the Frodan ab situation. And also I'm glad that the Team 5 gave Jaina clothes.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit in the Badass Women of Hearthstone Discord, and we were kind of even split on, whether we liked or didn't like the change. But ultimately, I think it's a good change. Some people might be a little disappointed. There might be a little less competitive advantage to using Jaina instead of Medivh.
Was that
Kinda
what was
distract your
happening?
opponents.
Was there ever a point where
No,
someone
no.
was playing an HET and it's like, I want to make the optimal play, but there's boobs over there, and I just
need
can't.
to min-max my hero portraits now.
Do you think, was there like a competitive advantage to, like, you would just in case when you went to HET you brought a little stamp and put it over the hero portrait just so you wouldn't get distracted, just to make sure the boobs wouldn't sneak up on you? It's just accessibility, right? It's just more people will not want to quit Hearthstone if they feel like the game is objectifying things. If they just remove this bit of objectification.
Yeah, Wicked Good made a really good point in chat. That he pointed out that whenever you start the game, you spend like an hour or two with Jaina as your only hero. So, I mean, like, just getting into the game, like, we were talking about Shadowverse in chat as well. And, I mean, I just don't play that game because the art style is excessive. And I can see how old Jaina Portrait, if somebody just hopped into the game and was like, okay, let's play cards, and then they saw that and they're like, oh, no, I don't want that. I don't want this. Quit. It's not worth it. So, I mean, if this gets less people to quit during the tutorial, it's just a net positive. I mean, there's.
But I don't know, Appa. What if someone's an hour and a half in, is like, I have not seen a single boob. I am out. I need to find it in a different game.
And there are many other things that they could be doing.
We probably don't want them to join our community anyway.
No. Well.
But moving on, I was trying to use the competitive advantage thing to transition into our tournament results. So, Hat, if you'd like to bring us into tournaments.
Well, I don't know if I can. I brought up the old Jaina art, and now I'm just so distracted. Just kidding. It's fine.
It's the grand tournament.
All right. Well, this week there was a single tournament VOD that I was able to reference for the Baddest Women of Hearthstone EU playoffs. Now, this was a lighter tournament week, and we're in kind of a lull a little bit until we get to the HET, or until we get to the Wild Open. But the Baddest Women of Hearthstone tournament is going on. It's pretty cool. Lorinda's casting, Gia's casting. There's a bunch of other talent there. Actually, Run, he said, was casting the other day with Lorinda. Cinder cast some of these matches, and there's some really big names in the top 8, both European and North American. So we're going to talk about that a little bit this week. Now, of course, the European playoffs, which happened last weekend, were before the nerfs, so the meta is not going to be as important. But we do want to talk about, I'm going to say this wrong. It's not Marikoshe. It's Marikoshe. Yes. Marikoshe took it over Arya in the EU finals. The Teacher and Cat in 3rd and 4th. Penny, Skarakai, Baby Bear, and Arctic Phoenix rounded out the top 8. And the tournament meta, it's about what you're used to from the pre-nerf. The top 8 was dominated by Hunter, Paladin, and Priest more than anything. Hunter was almost entirely hybrid secret. 5 of those, couple mid-range, a Spell Hunter. Paladin was half odd and half kind of a mishmash. There was an OTK, there was a mech with the meat wagons. There was an even not really all that consistent about what people were doing, but Odd Paladin was half the decks. This was before the nerf. I think we're going to see more of that. I think we're going to see more Odd Paladins, and that's a very strong deck still. Priest was evenly split between Dragon Control and Xerix, and there were still 6 Priests in the top 8. And then every other deck just had one, or every other class just had one archetype. Warrior, 4 of them odd. Rogue, 3 of them odd. Mage, 2 of them odd with Astromancers, the slower build, not the faster build. 1 Even Shaman, 1 Mechathune Warlock, and 1 Hakkar Waggle Druid. So, definitely a pretty stabilized top 8, with the exception of a couple weird lineups. And if we look at the lineup sheet that I closed for some reason, we're opening this now. Yes, Hakkar Waggle, that's the word that I'm using. I made it up, but sometimes you Hakkar and sometimes you waggle. You got to do a little bit of both.
And sometimes you Hakkar and waggle for the full Voltron.
Yes, we'll talk about that later. So, Marikashay, she won with the Hybrid Secret Hunter, Xerix Cloning Priest, Mech Paladin, and Odd Warrior. So she did win with Meat Wagon in 2019. Good for her. And then Arya in second place with OTK Paladin, Dragon Control Priest, Mid-Range Hunter, and Odd Hand Mage. And Mage is definitely picking up, or at least Odd Mages. Now, I'd have to say the weirdest lineup we have, Cat, well, not really weird because she's a Spell Hunter, the Spell Hunter expert. She was holding rank 1 on 2 servers with it last season, which is pretty impressive. She had Odd Warrior, Odd Paladin, and Hakkar Waggle Druid. Well, when we get to the quick hits, all 3 of these games are from the same series. All 3 of these games are Nutter Butters. And I want to make sure I'm clear. You should watch these 3 games. I'm going to paste a link in the chat right now. There's a link in the show notes. You should watch these games. Because I am condensing for the quick hits highlight section. But these games are very difficult to hit quickly. Because a lot happened here. The most boring game is the first one I'm going to talk about. All 3 of these, it's LHS format. And Marikashay was playing Xerix Cloning Gallery Priest, which Botticus has talked about really enjoying because every game is a little bit different. Well, you never see that better than in these 3 games. And all 3 of them involve Marikashay playing this deck. And Cat plays all 3 of her remaining decks. The Odd Paladin, the Odd Warrior, and the Hakkar Waggle Druid. And the most boring game of them all was the first one, where there's a Witch's Cauldron in play for Cat, and 7 minions, and Marikashay casts Mass Hysteria. And then Cat burns a card because her hand is filled with Shaman spells. A lot goes on here, but Cat is able to stabilize after the Mass Hysteria into Spirit Lash when she's on 6 health, and then a chain of Psychic Screams, and there's a Velen with the Spirit Lash to go back up to 26, and then a bunch of Spellstones. Takes the game back from the brink, but I am really, really summarizing a 20-ish minute game here. There's a lot to go into, and that was the most boring game. And then second game, game 4, actually. Well, how much armor is too much? Cat has 60. Marikashay doesn't care. But halfway through the game or so, both players are on 10 mana. Druid's drawn most of its deck. And Cat goes Naturalize, Naturalize, Togwaggle. Neither deck is empty. But just switch and you don't get the King's Ransom because your hand is full. Very thin deck is given away. I take all your priest goodies. But things get really weird. Because Marikashay starts going off with Lyra. And then Lyra comes back. And starts wreaking more havoc. And then Cat has an Auctioneer turn. And starts drawing Shadow Essences and Lich Kings. And it just gets really weird really quickly. And both of these combo decks just turn into weird value generators. Where Maligo sticks on the priest board for multiple turns in a row and nothing really happens. And Lyra just goes crazy this game multiple times. Marikashay ends up barely stabilizing despite being ahead in fatigue by burning her Corrupted Blood, and Cat doesn't. And the damage that Cat takes from her own Corrupted Bloods increases every turn, it doubles every turn, until the turn where she's at 30, and Marikashay's at 8, going into a fatigue turn, and then Cat concedes because she's dead to 32 damage from Corrupted Bloods next turn. It's nuts. It's crazy. And then game 5. Have you ever seen an aggro Odd Warrior? Well, Marikashay has, because Cat is trying to stop the reverse sweep by going in with the Odd Warrior and playing minions quickly and pushing face, and Mary takes it slow, First thing she does to get on board is a cloning gallery. Everything dies except a 1/1 Lyra. And then the Eternal Servitudes are just stocked up. And then Lyra gives a cloning device, and cloning device steals from an Odd Warrior deck, Leroy Jenkins. From an Odd Warrior deck, steals Leroy Jenkins. And the Thought Steal steals a Faceless Manipulator. And then another Leroy Jenkins is stolen. And I might remind you that Cloning Gallery Priest is good at resurrecting minions. And when those minions are 6/2s with charge, that maybe should be Hall of Famed, hinty hint, they're very, very good at closing out the game and reducing Cat from well over 30 damage to right around dead in about 3 turns. Please watch all 3 of these games. They are all really, really good. G at the end of them says, I have no words, what did we just watch? You know what, I agree with her. It was pretty crazy. So, definitely worth checking out. And coming soon! Someone said something. Edelweiss, that's probably you because I can't see you.
No, it was me.
Oh. Hi, Appa.
I was about to make a meme about aggro Leroy Priest with Resurrects, but don't worry about it. It's fine.
Yes.
Keep going.
Yeah. Well, Edelweiss, you watched a few of these games, right?
I did, yeah. It was quite a trip.
Yeah. What stood out to you that I didn't summarize?
Well, so there was a moment actually that Gia and I think it was Tiki Wiki, who was the other caster, mentioned in the Ricochet. I think it was game 4, and she could have Shadow Essenced and gotten a Lich King because Cat had used a Psychic Scream to send Lich King back in the deck, and I think Ricochet just didn't see it. But she opted for just straight up keeping at 10 cards to burn the bloods. I think she didn't realize that if she used the Shadow Essence, because Lich King has that end of turn effect, she would have filled up her hand anyway. So she could have Shadow Essence and then I think Seanced, and she would still have a full hand while also presenting threats with the Lich King. But it didn't matter. You can't criticize someone too much when they win anyways. That was just one thing that I picked up on that the casters mentioned.
Yeah, well, because she wasn't used to the idea of a Druid Psychic Screaming a Lich King back into her deck and having a Shadow Essence that was given to her by Lyra, so can also relate to that being kind of an unusual circumstance. But yeah, it was a fun series to watch. The North America Top 8 plays out starting tomorrow, Saturday the 9th. And we'll check the Blizzard website now to see if they have the results already. Okay, they don't. Their future technology is limited. But it starts Saturday the 9th, goes through the weekend. Top 8 is set. A lot of big names. The Masters Cash Cup for the month is also tomorrow the 9th. That is the Masters tournament that Blizzard is throwing every month, but not streaming or advertising for the players that qualified through the Masters program until that ends. And Board Control will probably be streaming it and talking about it and tweeting it. The 2019 Wild Open is the 23rd. HT Winter Champs is the 28th. And the Coin Concede Listener Series that's totally not a league is right now. And we're playing in that. Appa and I are actually playing our match right after this live recording. It is strike format with open decklist submissions every week. And I kind of wanted us to get into our experience so far with Strike because I really enjoyed it. I played against Matt at Arms, who is a fellow podcaster. He's on Hero Power. He's our Wednesday night buddy, except the past 2 weeks we've been on Fridays. So sorry, Matt. I'll be back to Wednesday soon. It was really, really interesting where a lot of communication is required between both players, and there's a lot of interactivity as well as precise matchup knowledge required. You don't have to know how your deck generally plays. You have to know how your deck specifically plays. Because if there's a bad matchup for you, if you're not banning it, you're going to play it. It is 100% going to get played. And it's interesting how much that changes everything and how there's not a class that gets banned. I think the format is actually much more interesting by the matchup banning being the only tool you have beyond deck selection and the skill, both strategic and tactical, in the game of mastering these bad matchups. What did you think, Appa?
I think that I have no idea what I'm going to ban against you tonight because I don't remember your decks. I'm looking at them right now. Oh yeah,
I don't remember my decks either. What am I playing?
the young even pirate rogue.
Oh yeah, yep. I'm a Sharkfin fan of that deck.
I think you're actually playing like a deck that's very good, which is the big taunt wall priest thing.
Yes. Yeah,
And
Dexter was
then-
playing that deck, and he got DEKKSTER, and he got, I think, top 15 with it or something on the Legend ladder right now.
And you're playing Odd Mage. And
Yeah.
I'm playing Odd Hunter, Even Shaman, and Clone Priest. So, yeah, that ban phase will be interesting because I don't think either of us really know what's going on.
I think I'm considering banning Odd Hunter as many times as possible because I don't think my deck's like getting faced, but we'll see. Maybe the Priest does. I haven't thought about it because I have played none of my decks before. Well, I haven't played any of my decks at all. I haven't played a single game with any of them. So we'll see what happens. It'll be fun.
You haven't played with even Pirate Rogue yet? I feel like that's something you would have played.
I'm playing Wild Pirate Rogue. I can play all mana costs, and then I Sharp Sword Oil
That's
and people
fair.
die.
You get to play broken cards instead of fair nonsense with Captain Hooktusk.
Yeah, it's okay. Captain Hooktusk is not a fair card. Don't say that that's a fair card.
No, I meant you're playing like fair cards and then Captain Hooktusk.
Yes. I have to go to 8 mana
As-
instead of
as
just
in, like,
5.
removed from the fair card pile.
Yes.
Like
And
Master Oak Tusk.
yes, except with Rush. And that's our tournament section. It's going to be a little bit on the shorter side for the next couple weeks until we get to the Wild Open. So let's feast on some Decksplanations.
So Decksplanations this week is going to be very simple. We got the nerfs this past week, and we're just going to talk about the post. We're going to talk about the post-nerf meta and what we're seeing pretty much, and what
Not my
the
fault.
early days meta is shaping up to be. I wasn't going to say anything because you were just going to cut it out, but I guess we need to leave it in for the memes. So the most recent balance patch, for those of you who don't know, it hit Cold Blood. It's now 2 mana. Flame Tongue is now 3. Hunter's Mark is now 2. Emerald Spellstone is now 6, and Equality is now 4. And this seriously hindered a good deal of high tier decks, and the impact of that is really being felt, and the meta's shaken up quite a bit. There are definitely some of the old players, but we're seeing a surprising number of new quote unquote new decks pop up, which are decks that have been around but have not been very good for one reason or another. And I'm just going to go through the different archetypes of decks that have either had legend results so far, or have been on Hearthstone top decks or HS replay with good win percentages, and then we'll talk about just kind of the early meta in general. So for aggro decks, you got your Odd Paladin, your Odd Mage, your Beast or Mid-Range Hunter, and those are the pre-existing decks from pre-nerfs, and then some unique or kind of decks that you may not expect to see after the nerfs. Odd Hunter is one of them. Secret Paladin, which is an interesting deck. Zoo Warlock, which Ant hit legend with, but I mean, I'm gonna chalk that up to him being Ant and liking Zoo way too much. And Secret Hunter is actually still somewhat playable and still pretty okay because 6 mana 12/12s is still pretty good. Definitely worse than it was before, but that should tell you something about how good Secret Hunter was. For mid-range, we have Even Warlock and Cube Hunter. Even Warlock got a good bit better because Equality and Emerald Spellstone were some of its least favorite cards to see, and those are seeing a downtick in play. I put Even Shaman in here as one of the kind of unique decks that we're seeing. RD hit ranked 5 legend with it, I think. And I'm going to chalk that one up to RD being good at Hearthstone and playing a proactive deck with Hex, while other people were playing and testing nonsense. But I still think Even Shaman's okay, but it's definitely not nearly as good as it was. Spiteful Druid, what is happening? Spiteful Druid's here. It's back again.
What?
I've seen multiple people play Spiteful Druid. I've seen some legend results with it. I saw Rabobson playing it earlier. The meta is less like you're less bottlenecked on what you have to do in the early game to answer your opponent's threats. So there's a lot more breathing room in the early game for decks that sometimes lose to 2/2 daggers to exist. I think Odd Rogue and Secret Hunter were exerting more pressure in the format than we originally kind of thought, and we're seeing that with decks like Odd Mage popping up, literal Zoo, Odd Hunter has been around for a while. It has not seen play basically since it came out in the Witchwood, because other aggro decks are just better at having the board. But Odd Hunter has a really interesting spot where it's really, really good against slow decks, like slow combo decks, especially, which is a lot of what this early meta is. And for combo, we have Clone Priest, APM Priest, Malagos Rogue, Druid is back apparently, any of the Druid flavors, Mechathune decks, Mechathune Warlock, Mechathune Priest. We got your Clone Priest. We got your any combo deck. However you want to kill somebody, there's a combo deck for you. And that's kind of the story of this metagame, and I don't think that's really changed with the nerfs, because none of the nerfs hit combo except for Holy Wrath and OTK Paladin. And those two decks got hurt by the nerfs, like percentage-wise, but I'm sure it'll take some time for the meta to shake out and for them to find refined lists with 4-mana quality taken into consideration and basically built around that. But basically, if you're a combo player, the world is your oyster right now. So I don't really expect that to change all that much. But that is also part of the reason why we're seeing some of these really weird, kind of off the beaten path aggro decks, like Odd Secret Mage, because it's proactive, it does a reasonable amount of damage, and it also gets to play some disruption against combo with counterspell and stuff like that. And I mean, Odd Hunter, Camlan, he hit, I think, above 50 legend with it, but he's also Camlan and plays Bizarre Hunter decks. But basically, the theory behind it is that you put stuff on the board and you smork real hard, and your opponents have to do their combo or die. Because a lot of the combo decks are very streamlined at doing their combo thing and are not great at survivability. And I think that's going to be mostly the story of the metagame, is like, you're either a combo deck or you're a deck trying to kill it really fast, because there's not a lot of great disruption outside of like Demonic Project for the most part, or like Gnome Feratu if you're high rolling people, but that's not what that card's used for. Don't put that in your deck and be like, this is anti-combo. Basically, all we have is really Demonic Project as disruption, which kind of makes me think that, I don't know, like even Warlock has played it sometimes, but maybe it's time for Control Warlock to come back into the spotlight. And that'll depend on what the combo decks are that end up being the best. So say if Clone Priest is like one of the best combo decks, you don't want to be playing Control Warlock because they don't care about a stupid Demonic Project. But if people are playing like Mechathune or like APM Priest or a deck that requires a very specific win condition, like a single card, single minion win condition, then a deck running Demonic Project could definitely be very strong. But that would be my pick of a deck to like watch out for in the coming weeks as the meta starts to take shape a little more. But yeah, I mean, combo decks look really good. There's a bunch of weird aggro decks, and then mid-range and control is kind of the same. Control, you got Odd Warrior, which Theo hit top 40 legend with. You got Quest Warrior, Nyria's been playing that for a while. He hit high legend with it. Control Priest is doing okay. And I put Q-Block here because we're in a world where Q-Block is not combo-y enough to be a combo deck. It functions kind of more like a control deck right now that's just faster than the other control decks. It doesn't really combo you. It just gets a bunch of value and plays kind of slow.
Just like Quest Rogue which
Yeah,
is now
Quest
also
Rogue
just
and
mid
Cube
range.
Lock are not really considered combo decks in this meta because they're not doing 40 damage from hand or playing a card that says end the game.
Except Blood Reveal Gul'dan, but even then.
Yeah. So, but what have we all been seeing? Like, what has everybody been playing? For me, I've been playing, like I said, I played Odd Hunter. I played a little bit of Cube Hunter, which I did not have great success with. I was running into a lot of different stuff. I think Cube Hunter will probably be better once things start to shake out. You can kind of tech your deck a little better and figure out your mulligans better based on what classes you go up against. But Odd Hunter actually surprised me a lot because my opponents did not play a Diarmal on 1 and then a Dagger on 2 and have the board for the rest of the game. And they also did not play a Wandering Monster, which was fantastic. So I've been playing that. I'll also probably be playing some Miracle Rogue because Wandering Monster and Spellstone were that deck's nightmares. And whenever Spellstone started seeing play, I basically couldn't realistically play Miracle Rogue anymore because you should just be playing Odd Rogue at that point. But now that Spellstone's seeing a drop in play and it's more manageable to play around, I kind of want to break out my Henge Clan Thugs and my Preps and my Saps again. Hat is shaking his head vigorously.
Edelweiss, why don't you go next while I think
Yeah.
about Miracle Rogue and feel happy inside?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I have been seeing a bunch of Mind Blast Priest, or at least some kind of Dragon Priest, interestingly enough. Myself, I was playing Even Rogue. Nicolina had posted a list that she had gotten. I think she had taken it from Viper and modified it. I assume her modification was adding in 2 Cold Bloods now that they're even cost. And then I actually changed that and added 2 Eviscerates because I didn't understand why Eviscerate wasn't in there. And I like having 4 things for the 6 mana 5/3 rush to draw out of your deck because those are the only combo cards.
Wait, a rogue deck
And,
that didn't have Keleseth that didn't have Eviscerate?
No, because it's even.
Right. So no Keleseth, but then it didn't
Nope.
originally have Eviscerate.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you on that one.
Someone
But-
messed up. And
I
prep is
think
even.
That's why she put those in.
Yeah, because
Well,
it's Eviscerate.
Yeah, I put them in. Yeah, I think I took out like a Bone Mare and Cairn and put in 2 Eviscerates.
Yes.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
so torn though, because you took out Cairn. You took out some burst for other burst.
Look, Eviscerate only deals 4 once. Cairn deals 4 multiple times. It's way more burst per card.
Yeah, but Cursed Castaway doesn't draw you Cairn.
It's way better
Oh,
burst per
okay.
capita though.
It's a BPP?
That's the
BPC?
metric we're using now.
Yeah,
Burst per
but
capita.
okay, Cursed Castaway drawing Eviscerate has me wanting to like turn the fan on or something because I am
There's gotta be
agitated
something
over
else
here.
we can cut for this Cairn.
You can't cut anything.
Oh my god.
No
No matter what happens in the match.
That's jokes too much.
No matter what happens in the match tonight, I feel like I've won a moral victory here today. You can keep talking. I'm just going to mute and feel self-satisfied.
Well, anyway, yeah. So Even Rogue, lots of fun. You know, you've got Dagger on 1 into Bloodsail Corsair as a 3/3, or the that new 2/2 that makes a 1/1 pirate whenever you attack. You've got a Corpse Taker package, and then you know, Cursed Castaway and Ticket Scalper as the pirates that you ideally want to pull off of Hook Tusk. So I've really been enjoying that deck. Not sure, how good it is yet, but it's been fun to mess around with. Odd Hunter, we mentioned earlier. Fun story with that. So I really enjoy Odd Hunter. I played a bit of it even before the nerfs. And earlier today, I queued up a match into Odd Warrior. Baku triggers for both of us. I play a turn 1 Dire Mole, and my opponent coins hero power. And I think to myself, you fundamentally do not understand how this matchup works.
You said warrior?
Yep, it was. I was odd hunter.
Coin
my
tank
opponent
up.
was odd warrior. Coin tank up.
I think in their head they had basically a mental bookmark that said tank up good. So they went, let's do this faster. Let's go coin tank up.
Ugh.
We can do it on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's so many armor.
Don't tell them about
I
Ironhide.
think-
That Ironhide's gonna get in that
I
deck.
just thought.
But then they'll wait wait until turn 2 and then just go tank up coin Ironhide.
Okay, I want to say
Because then they'll have 9 instead of 8 on 2.
I have to make a confession. I was doing a coaching session today, starting at rank 25 in Wild with a patron, and we were playing the Oil Rogue deck, the one that I've been playing in Wild, and we got turn 1 Ironhided, and we did lose that game because their entire deck was armor generation and taunt generation, and when they got the Sunwalker off the Inoa guy, that was it. But we got Ironhided on turn 1 and on turn 4.
That is that's 10. That's 10 that you had to fight through. And then at least 6 more with the Sunwalker. That's 16.
It's
That man
popping
started at
a
46.
Sunwalker with an 8-1 Buccaneer and a 6-2 Kingsbane did not feel pleasant. Didn't feel good.
I mean, these things do happen, but I beat that odd warrior opponent because I went double Timberwolf on turn 2.
Yes. So clearly what you're saying,
And,
Edelweiss, that you're a better player
I
than
stuck
me.
around a while.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying that my opponent was pretty bad.
They misread the matchup. The
Yes.
texture of the matchup.
Yeah.
They're under the impression that if they hero powered every turn and I hero powered every turn, that they would win that race. And I was like, yeah, but I don't hero power for the first 4 turns. And then they lost. I also happen to be running an all beast odd hunter, which has Master's Call, so it doesn't run out of gas as quickly as other ones. Tops out at Tundra Rhino and Baited Arrow. So it's
I'm
it's a
sorry,
fun
you
list.
have my attention. I would like to subscribe to this newsletter. I'd like to hear more about
I
this
think the
Master's Call
newsletter
odd hunter.
is Smork.
Yes.
Because you said Baited Arrow in Odd Hunter, and whew, somebody turned up the heat in here. I'm sweating. That's a good one. Let's go. That seems so
Well, so
good.
people
in, like, the
forget
minion-based
that you
matchup,
can
where,
just
like,
Baited Arrow face.
yeah. But that also seems like so good in the matchups where like you get behind on board and you're like, JK, kill this 5/5.
Yeah. It's
Deal
so
with
good.
this, also take 3 next turn for my hero power.
It's so good in those matchups where people play Zilliax, so you know all of them. Every single one. Because they be like, Zilliax punch a thing, and you're like, I have a 5/5 now, and you don't have a Zilliax.
You know what Baited Arrow the 5/5 negates? Ironhide.
I mean,
Alright.
my opponent did play an Ember Scale Drake, and it did get ruined by my Baited Arrow.
Oh, man. Spicy.
Matt at Arms in chat wants to know where he signs up for the Smork letter.
I'll post this list in Discord later on.
Yes. You press F. F is the Smork letter. It stands for face.
I thought it meant to pay respects to your opponent. Coin tank up.
You can. It has multiple uses. It's a very functional letter.
So you've given it some thought, I assume, Hat. Where are we at on Miracle Rogue? Are we in?
So the Miracle Rogue, you couldn't play it in the Hunter Spellstone meta, and Ixar talked about this pretty clearly, where the intention of Spellstone at the cost of 5 was that the damage to your early turns, theoretically, with secrets instead of actually developing, was significant enough that you wouldn't actually be ahead on board. They printed Wandering Monster in the same set as that card. And then they learned when you make a secret that's also a minion at the same time, you're not really hindering any development. And in particular, what happens is Hunter has so much damage from hand that 12 damage in one turn from 5 mana get 12 worth of stats was enough to just turn the game in a way that the player didn't have any agency. And Miracle Rogue in particular, the only defense it has is offense. In that you can't gain life, you don't taunt, you just try and swing the board and then kill your opponent quickly before your life total runs out. And any deck that kills from hand is really, really difficult to deal with. And Hunter removed your minions, played 4 3/3s at once, which you couldn't kill, and then killed you from hand with the hero power. So that was easily the worst matchup. Spell Hunter, I think, was like a 20% win rate, if not lower, when I was playing Miracle Rogue. Miracle Rogue in undefined metas is usually pretty good. Prepping a Cold Blood feels way less bad now because you're getting so much more of a discount. Human psychology is strange, I know. I would be surprised if it ended up being a top tier deck, but I think in the next week it will probably be worth playing, because in the first week it's always worth playing while nobody knows what they're doing, because they play greedy monstrosities, then you sap them and it's fine. But from what I'm seeing and what you're talking about, because I haven't played a ton of ladder. In fact, I've only played Wild Ladder. I talked about at the beginning of the show. From what you're talking about, aggro can actually work a little better in this format because it's not being kept down as much by odd rogue and hunter strategies that are just better at filling the board. And if aggro is better, Miracle Rogue is usually worse. And I'm not sure yet. I wouldn't want to play against Secret Paladin. I definitely would not want to play against Odd Hunter. I would probably really want to play against Wall Priest. I would probably want that matchup if I were the Miracle Rogue, because anytime you play against an Inner Fire Priest, you just have Saps and Vilespine Slayers, and then they die. But
whenever they get a Mashog Enforcer down, and you go, Leroy, prep, Sap, Cold Blood, that.
Yeah, if Botticus was here, he'd say, just Mossy Horror it, and I would say, shut up, Botticus. But...
And remember when Giggling Inventor was a card? Holy goodness. That was the best answer we had access to.
And Blood Knight.
Blood Knight. A mana extra. A mana more than what you're answering to bring a 2/7 down.
It's like the sad part wasn't that was the best answer. The sad part was that was good enough. The sad part was that was actually a thing you wanted to do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Mass Hysteria against Spellstone. Like, you got the 1-for-1, you walked away feeling really good.
But anyway, the reason why... Oh, and Edelweiss, while you're here, I think it's important that we remember this. Do you think that Blizzard will change any cards in Hunter before the rotation? Yes or no?
No. They sneak nerf Druid, yes. They are unpredictable. They're going to do whatever they think is going to get more people to play.
I'm going to go with yes. Do you remember what you answered, Edelweiss, in that episode? Remember what you answered?
I remember, and I was hoping you forgot.
Oh, an elephant never forgets. Like Stampy in my Miracle Rogue deck. No, I remember.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
And what you said was... They're not going to nerf any Hunter cards. That's what you said. You said no. But they did, and now we have the time where ladder officially doesn't matter for competitive results. And they nerfed cards again, and we don't really know what's going on, and we're 2 months out from the next expansion. Let's just play something different. And I don't know how much more refined this meta is going to get that quickly. It probably will move the same speed as every other meta, but at the same time, we're in lame duck standard. People might just have fun. There might be some fun. I don't know. I'm hoping for fun. Secret Paladin sounds fun.
Hero powers are fun.
Well, it's not to your coin tank up opponent, but I do think that's fun, and I do think Secret Paladin is interesting. And Zoo is back. Any format where Zoo is good in, the format's probably pretty healthy. Yeah, I think that's
Honestly,
true.
Zoo is one of my favorite decks, and I have not picked it up recently, but I do intend to.
Yeah, definitely worth it. Closest thing I've gotten to that is playing Zoe and Eternal, which is not quite the same thing, but it's also very fun. Anyways. So you have some questions written down here, Appa.
Oh, I just had the one question. These were just notes. The
Oh.
real question that I had was like, what are we seeing? And then the last one is, what do we want to play now that the nerfs have happened and with the nerfs taken into effect? And for me, it's probably I'm gonna lose a lot with it, but Peanut Shaman seems sweet, which is just the Battlecry Shaman with Shudderwalk at the top end. I'm gonna lose a lot to combo, but that's fine. It'll be worth it just smashing all the odd paladins, so that's okay. Other than that, I definitely want to play Miracle Rogue, and I don't know, maybe some form of like Crusher Shaman with Earth Elementals, Ancestral Spirit, that kind of stuff. But the problem with Shaman right now is like it fights for board really well against decks that are also playing fair and playing a card a turn, which is nobody, and it has no disruption whatsoever. So Shaman's like not in a great place, which stinks. So I'll probably flounder with bad Shaman decks for a little bit, and then I don't know. I don't really want to play Mechathune deck because Psychic Scream's kind of everywhere, and Clone Priest is fun, but I'm getting a little bored of it. So I don't know. Maybe I might try Control Warlock. I might try a few builds of that because Demonic Project seems real sweet right now, and Defile's messed up, Godfrey's messed up, and Skull and Voidlord are messed up cards. So I might just jam all those together in a deck and see how it goes. What about you, Hap?
Yeah, I. Oh,
Oh,
guess
sorry,
that's
I
fine.
cut you off. You started going. Take it.
What about you, Edelweiss?
Okay.
Take it away.
So I'm probably just gonna revisit things that people aren't gonna play because they got nerfed, right? So I'll check out different builds of even Shaman. I already have been trying out Odd Rogue because I feel like I don't know. I feel like one card can't just totally kill the deck, right? But let me tell you, playing Ocarus Veteran feels a whole lot worse than playing Cold Blood. But it does still get there. Myra's Unstable Element is broken.
We're playing veteran now. That's what we're doing.
That's what I'm doing. I don't know if it's correct, but I was like, all right, what can buff my vicious fledglings?
Oh, so
And
that's what we're doing.
that was
okay.
And if I want to swap a 1-mana card for a 1-mana card, that's where I went, because I'm not gonna pay 5 mana to tack a 4/4 onto my Cold Blood. So I think it's still fine, just because the hero power fights for board so well that it can still be very strong against other aggressive decks. I beat an odd paladin earlier, but that was mostly because of the Firefly opener I had. So Odd Rogue still seems good. It just does not have the burst potential that it used to. I think that means we always run 1/3s instead of 1/1 Divine Shield, since we're not going to be cold blooding those. Yeah, those are my thoughts on Odd Rogue. But
Okay, hear me out. Hear me out. Let's add the Light Warden, Voodoo Doctor, Happy Ghoul, Fungal Enchanter package to Rogue. Let's make a heal Rogue. Because they're all they're all 1s and 3s. And you always do damage to yourself with your hero power. Let's make a heal Rogue.
Okay, I'll try it. But I don't know. Blink Fox is pretty good.
But Blink Fox doesn't talk in a weird Scottish accent on turn 1 like Light Warden does. Or whatever accent that is. Though Blink Fox is a good boy. He goes, woohoo!
If you play Blink Fox, you wait no.
Those cards are all neutrals. You can't
they're
do
all
what you
neutrals.
were gonna say
Okay.
you're gonna do.
I was gonna meme, and then it flopped.
Can't do that.
So
Much like the near
Yeah.
future where heal Odd Rogue flops.
Yeah,
But
the only problem is it's just too many slots, and the deck didn't lose that many cards.
It's clear that Fungal Enchanter is better than Vicious Fledgling. Come on, we all know that. Okay, it's not that clear. It's fine.
Well,
Oh my gosh.
so okay, I'm revisiting old decks to see if they're still good. Hat, what are you going to be doing?
I guess I'm going to be doing Heal Odd Rogue. I don't know. I haven't thought about it, but Smork...
He's gonna be finding his fun in Wild by taking away others.
I am trying really hard to get out of speed bumping people, and listen, I have played against a lot of odd paladins. I am not the bad guy there. And there was a game that made me log off Hearthstone for 2 days where my opponent far-right Barnesed me on turn 3 and got a Ysera, and I thought to myself, okay, I have a sap in hand, or I can develop 2 pirates with an active ship's cannon. Do I really care if they bring back Ysera?
Did they double res you?
They Ysera awakens me off their 1 Ysera card, and then resurrected.
Oh.
And then I
Oh,
sapped
no.
that,
I thought you were gonna say.
and they servituded
played
the next turn.
Pirates, hit the 1/1, and then they went resurrect, and then you lost.
No, they went Ysera awakens, clear your board, and then resurrect, and then I sapped it, and then they eternal servituded, and they got another Ysera awakens, then killed me 2 turns later with a nightmare. And then I logged off of Hearthstone for a while because that Barnes was as far right as it could get in that hand.
Did it do the thing where it like didn't even enter their hand? It just rolled off the deck onto the board.
No, the opponent definitely took a second to look at it like that's really a Barnes. That's what that is. And then I got to look at it. I could have sapped the 1/1 Ysera. I chose not to. I wouldn't have developed anything, but then I would have developed a turn later, and then they would have still Ysera's Awakens me because that was the first card they got, and I still probably would have lost. But I don't know yet.
Yeah, you're definitely not the bad guy when people are Barnesing. That's for sure.
There's a part of me that hopes that in the Wild Open, it's just a bunch of fucking Barnes decks, so that I don't know, we can prove to everyone that okay, maybe it's not the highest win rate deck, but in best of 3, which is what the qualifier portion of this, or I guess the playoffs portion of the Wild Open is, something like Barnes is a serious issue because best of 3 is an extremely high roll format. So if people get Barnes Yasharaj, it's unfortunate.
I am desperately trying to find a reason to not bring Big Priest in this format. Because good lord, do I not like playing it. I might just do what I did the last playoffs I went to, which was take Yogg Druid and remove Yogg for principle. Just remove the Barnes. Just be like, I guess the Shadow Essences are better. Whatever. Just do it for principle.
They talked about Barnes a lot. I understand that people really like playing Big Priest. I understand that it's not the highest win rate. Big Priest still works fine without Barnes in the deck. All you're doing is removing a card that makes people regret their decisions and involvement with the game that you make Team 5. Just take that card out. You can leave the rest. Still Shadow Essence into Yasharaj. Just don't make me get tonight! Don't make that happen to me. Nobody deserves it.
Also, could we talk about the fact that Spell Hunter in Wild runs Master's Call to discover Barnes, and more consistently Barnes on 4 into Yasharaj, the only minions in the deck?
Yeah,
That's not okay.
You can thank Duin for that complete pile of a deck.
Why
If
did
you're
I have to
listening
know
to
that thing?
But okay, the deck is pretty much all in on Barnes Yasharaj, and then if it doesn't get it, it is a very bad hunter deck, and Barnes and Yasharaj actually carry that deck's win rate. It's kind of absurd. Like, if you don't get Master's Call or just natural Barnes into Yasharaj, the deck just does nothing. But if you get it, then you feel like you can't really win. It's really stupid, like how different it is whenever you have the Barnes.
I'm so mad that I know about this. I'm just so mad.
Yeah, just at Duin on Twitter and
No.
be like, why
Nope.
did you do this?
Nope, not engaging. The only winning move is not to play. Though, I will say there's something that I was remembering earlier that I didn't say, but I'm going to say now. Ixar was talking about this as well in the Value Ton interview, that when Chanman asked about OTK disruption, and there's not a lot in Standard, and Ixar said, well, we like Dirty Rat, and how it can disrupt those decks that rely on a few specific cards and drawing their entire deck. We really like that, and you can probably expect cards like that. If you like Dirty Rat, you'll probably be happy in the very near future. I don't think he could have been clearer that they're going to keep printing cards like that in like Demonic Project, so I am grateful that he made that clear. So maybe there's a card that's like a 2-mana 2/3 that removes all 4-mana 3/4s from your opponent's deck and hand. Maybe something like that.
Just call it Dirty Raccoon. And when it comes in, it says, live fast, eat trash, and then kills these things.
Jeez. Well, I think we've officially gone off the beaten path here. Final thoughts before we wrap up Decksplanations?
No, not really. If you enjoy combo and you want to play in a format where you can play combo, pick a combo deck and play it right now, because it's probably pretty good.
If you don't enjoy combo, then Face is the place, and go as low as you can, so that they are too close to dead by the time, Mass Hysteria and Psychic Scream matter.
Yeah, you can take your Odrogue and go turn 1 Crystallizer Coin, Voodoo Doctor yourself. Happy Ghoul, that's as low as you get. That's 1, 1, and 0. So that's definitely going to beat any combo decks. All you have to do is high roll out of your mind.
How long can this go on?
Alright, well, that was fun. We want to give thanks to the many folks that make Concede possible. Check out the thanks section on the website. You can find our contact info, our show notes, and our Patreon information. You can support our show at patreon.com/CoinConcede. Join us every week live by following us on Twitch at twitch.tv/CoinConcede Join our community chats in our Discord at discord.coinconcede.com. Write into our email at coinconcede@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at CoinConcede, as well as like, share, and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/CoinConcede. If you'd like some CC swag, head on over to our shop at shop.coinconcede.com. Big thanks to our producers, Viriatus, Ryan, and Donald. Edelweiss, we don't have your contact info on the website. Where is the best place people can find you?
So I'm on Twitter at Swagoy Edelweiss. That's spelled Edelweiss. My keyboard cannot make the German character that makes a double S sound. You can also find me on Twitch, although I will not probably be streaming until I get an actual job. I need to get my priorities straight, but hopefully in the next couple months I can get a full-time job, replace my laptop, and then the streams will begin.
Fantastic. Yes. Current laptop, maybe not so much. Next laptop, looking forward to it. And while we have you here, you get to go first with the coin concedes, because I see you have a whole bunch of stuff written out.
Yeah, just a few. So first, coin concedes to you, Hat, and Appa for having me on and dealing with my ridiculous technical difficulties. I know it's a bit of a lot. Also to the audience for dealing with all that. My teammates Losthead and Spiral, who made it into the Wild Open. Badass Women of Hearthstone for this tournament, particularly Ephira, who's running it. And then we had the EU playoffs that we talked about with Arya and Maricochet in the finals. Maricochet ended up first place. And then to my good friend Ray C, who is unfortunately in the hospital once again. He's been having some heart issues, so send in some love his way.
And we, of course, wish Racy a speedy recovery as fast as he can and as complete as he can. Appa, who do you like to coin concede to today?
I would like to coin concede to Cinder and Nicholas because it has not happened yet, but right after the show, Hat and I, again, we will be playing our listener Totally Not League game match thing afterwards, and Cinder and Nicholas will be streaming it and casting on this Twitch channel, Coin Concede Podcast Twitch channel. So shout out to them for being awake at this time to cast a match full of memes.
Who's memeing?
How about you?
I'm not memeing. I'm just playing Topsy Turvy and Mashog Enforcer.
It's funny because that's your least meme deck, I think.
Yes.
Because that one is actually like crushing High Legend right now, which is really
Yeah,
funny.
it's actually number 2 in HS replay for on the tier list, right behind Secret Paladin. What is happening to Standard? Also, all of these decks are legend decks. Every single one are all current legend decks. So, yeah, it is, and it is for those wondering, it is a Safari Odd Mage that does indeed have Untamed Beastmaster and a good number of beasts in there, including Ironbeak Owl, Stranglethorn Tiger. I believe Janelai the Dragonhawk is a beast. Yeah, there's a lot going on. For me, I'd like to coin concede to Cap Correlator. He's playing in the Coin Concede Listener Series, not League, and he actually noticed that his opponent submitted a list that had nerfed cards that worked very poorly together, and notified me so I could notify his opponent so they could fix their deck list. And I thought that was such an incredible display of sportsmanship that I could not resist talking about it. And it really exemplifies the environment we're trying to push for in the Coin Concede Listener League-ish, not League, environment. So, Cap Correlator, props to you for being a good human being. And Coin Concede to Schwal and Nicholas for being the admins that are helping to run the Listener Series. It's going very, very well. They are helping out while I can't because I've had some really miserable days at work this week, including one on Wednesday that was 12 hours long, which is why I could not be in the podcast because I went to a theater to fix one part, and 3 others broke after I turned the projector back on. And no, it was not my fault. Not my fault. And yeah, that couldn't do it without them, and it's really been a successful environment and a lot of fun to be a part of. And that's our show. So, keep calm and eat trash. And if you see us on the ladder, coin concede.
Live fast, eat trash, coin concede.
I can't endorse that message. Coin concede.
Take cold comfort in your victory. You win. I can rest now. You win. For now. Now, your victory proves nothing.
The day is yours.
I choose death. You have triumphed. This time. This hunt is yours.